Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Triumph Siberia cast assessment. We've been doing this the past couple seasons just for funsies. Technically it's supposed to be like before things happen in the game, but we're currently at the end of round one in tribals tonight. So for players watching this afterwards, sorry we're late. But basically we just go through each of the players and we're gonna talk about what we think of them, if we know them, what we thought of their intro, how we think they're gonna do in the game. Only rule is, let everybody speak. Don't talk over each other. If I need to like make people raise their hands at any point, I will, but I don't want to do that. And then nothing about the players that is like personal. So like if you had beef with them in the past, try not to talk about that. Just talk about how you think they're going to do in the game, from the player standpoint. So yeah, are there any other rules? I don't think so. It's pretty just don't be a dick. In Brandon words, don't be a dick. Um, so then yeah. Why do I have a oh, okay. So we'll get started. Who wants to pick which tribe we start with first? Do we want to start with Baikal? I don't know how to pronounce these, or Koryak.
Let's
Oh
do
no,
by
you did
Cal
well.
and say Coriac for the people who are coming to it. They'll be here with us.
Okay.
Yep.
So then I'll just go in alphabetical order for Baikal. I'm assuming that's how you say it. So the first person Baikal is Andrew. I know Andrew, so I can speak to him, but does anyone else know Andrew or want to give thoughts on him before I go?
I I've got notes on everyone. I'm ready to go. I the first thing with Andrew's intro video was that I genuinely misheard him say that he had a dog and thought he said he had a daughter called Waffles. And I was like, there's a human female out there called Waffles. But yeah, that was my stupidity. But Andrew, I think he's taken strategy advice from Kaylee from last season. It's just basically get stoned, try and be personable, and just act like he's too high to have any like agency, but probably actually is gonna have a decent brain to him. I bear in mind, I gave everyone positions like just after I'd seen the intro videos. I'm sticking to them because I couldn't be bothered to adjust for the last couple of days. But I have Andrew in finishing seventh.
Yeah, I could see Andrew doing really well. Obviously, I think this is T. Andrew originally was meant to play last season, but unfortunately he couldn't. So time's aligned this time. I think Andrew's ready. I think watching last season, Andrew really was like, no, I want to do well this season. And I think he's already made the steps to make that happen. I think he's already trying to be active. I think he's definitely gonna work to put himself in a good position, and I think we're gonna see him. I confident he's gonna make merge because I think even in a swap he'll be fine. I don't have placements. I'm not that. I just you know me. I don't have that. But I still see Andrew going very far. I have faith in him.
He seems really polished, which I wonder if that's going to come off as intimidating to a group that feels a little chaotic in like a great way. Like if I would be intimidated by someone who like seems like they're that put together, if that makes sense, and like that much of a player.
I think in terms of players, I'm personally very excited to see Andrew. Again, he was someone who was supposed to be on the season for last season, but unfortunately did drop out, which is when we had to go to another. I forget who was the alt for last season that we replaced
John.
with Andrew. Oh no, it wasn't John actually.
Oh, John
Um,
was an alt for somebody.
John was a day of, but Andrew had like he was offered a spot but declined. I don't know if
yeah,
he accepted it, and then like went back on it.
Yeah. So I'm personally very excited to see Andrew play because he is someone who I think is very smart and very thoughtful. And I think a certain theme, like I don't think this cast is as cracked as Congo was. I pray. I pray for the entire host mental sanity that this cast is not as cracked as Congo. But I think with Andrew specifically, and this might be a recurring theme because there is a sense of rivalries that I feel like are a part of this season as well. Like there's a lot of points where you can pick one player, like, oh, this player does not like this player. And it could be on the same tribe, it could be on opposite tribes. It feels like that's gonna be a certain theme. And there's one player that is on Koryak that I'm really curious to see Andrew interact with because it's the only other player that Andrew knows. In terms of how he's doing on Bike Hall, though, he's actually doing pretty good. He's making the rounds of everybody. He's actually seems in a pretty decent position, which I feel like, especially in the early game, is where you want to be. You don't want to be exactly up front calling every shot, but you don't want to be like falling behind. So I feel like in terms of his positioning, he's good. I like Andrew. I'm really excited he actually applied again.
So I would say that I think Andrew seems to be trying really hard and so far not making a bad impression, which I think serves you well going into, swap territory, right? Like he probably isn't going to get voted out until we see what happens at a swap. So I think he'll make it into like a swap if there is a swap in this game or emerge. I think that's where he could get in trouble because I don't know at that point who and how Andrew's going to be closest to, if that's going to take him into a merger or swap, if he's going to be with them, how many numbers he's going to have. And that's where he could either excel and be with people and keep going or fall off and find himself being the vote because other people are like, well, closer to X, Y, and Z. I'm not so close to Andrew. I love Andrew, but Andrew can go. And I feel like that's where the middle of the road is going to be our decision maker on how far Andrew makes it. Also, I just want to point out Andrew was the one who did the Scott 2.0 and was totally looking for the iPhone call. And nobody was noticing. He was like literally scanning between two screens the whole time, and they were not clocking that mess. That was hilarious.
No, I need to stress his face wasn't even looking straight. He wasn't even trying to hide it. My thing's broken, but he was like looking straight towards the side, like obviously looking at a different screen, just focus on something, and nobody clocked it once again.
Is it my turn? Am I last?
Yes.
Okay. So I recruited Andrew. I know Andrew because he was a spectator for a game I played in December, and we had never met, but he fell in love with me as a spectator. So naturally we became besties because if you support Megan, I support you. But I've since then watched Andrew play, and of course like recruited him for last season and then wanted him to come back. Andrew is very game body, but in the fun way because he is good at making bonds with people and not being boring, but he is incredibly strategic. And like in the two games I've watched Andrew play, they end up being like the power player strategist who is like running a lot of moves, or at least deciding a lot of things, even if they don't work out. So Andrew's issue is threat management. They will get got before the end if they don't learn how to manage that this season. But otherwise, I think Andrew's a very strong player. I could see Andrew winning if he's able to get over that and not be seen as a super strong strategist. And if I had to give a placement, I'd be right around there with Z, like in the 5, 6, 7 range. Just because I think he will become too big of a threat at some point. But I love him. Okay. Any last comments on Andrew? Alrighty. Next up on by call is Duke.
Duke is someone who is the definition of a dry game bot seeing him play. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Duke is well known in like my side community to be a very good strategic player. He has also been clocked as a very dry fucking gamebot, not from people on the opposite tribe who have developed a very weird hatred for him because of how fast he was with this fucking challenge. And some people said he had absolutely no life whatsoever because he was pretty much the reason that I call one here because he was first on a lot of the ones there as well. Duke as a strategic player, I think is fucking amazing. As a social player, he's doing very well so far, I want to say, with the connections that he needs to have on Baikal. In the event of a tribe swap and a merge, I worry for Duke, mostly because of, again, he's someone who's seen as very smart, and if that game body attitude comes into play, he's going to be seen as an immediate target and taken out as such. And to keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with being a game bot at all, but I was thinking the cast, or at least, some people who very much enjoy personal interaction above all, being a game bot and being identified as such has its disadvantages in this game. I feel like that's something that Duke's going to struggle with.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
my God. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to quickly say, well, I've played a game with Duke for one round before we sniped him. And I think the main thing with Duke is kind of similar to what Megan said about Andrew, actually. Duke is going to have to manage his threat level. He is a really chilled guy, and I think that's where the dryness comes from. He's just very laid back, very, when you speak to him and when you get to kind of get to know him, he's just very laid back, very chilled. But it's that thing of the cogs are still turning in the back, and he's very good strategically. But if he's not able to manage his kind of threat level on a physical sense, I can see him easily getting to merge, but going early, merge as soon as he doesn't win immunity. If he hasn't got immunity in those first couple of tribals, I can see them sniping Duke for purely because they don't want him going deep on an immunity run. But I like Duke.
I think, piggyback on that, I think all of what he said, I see. I think Duke is doing great for his tribe, and they're going to want to keep him, right? But I can only get rid of Duke because Duke is doing wonderful. That's great and helpful. I think the way that Duke can manage his threat level is before a merge or anything like that with his own tribe, hopefully make the social connections he needs to make. But then also, when he does make a swap or a merge, let somebody else take the charge of winning immunity so that he isn't the one that looks like the danger, and make sure to put their name forward. Like, oh, we gotta work on getting them. Make sure somebody else is the threat in front of him, and just make sure somebody else is sealed. He needs to do what I did, because I know on my tribe I was the one who was doing well in challenges. But then when we got to merge, I made sure Davey was sorry. I made sure that Davey was the target as the biggest comp threat, and I just bled into the background. So that's what Duke needs to do in order to survive and make it to the end of the game.
So for my notes, I started off with the fact that Duke Farley sounds like an American personal injury lawyer firm. So he's also now called Duck. I refuse to call him anything but Duck. He seems frighteningly normal from his intro video. Like just really strangely normal, not the average org player. And I sort of think when you're a lone wolf by just being fairly normal and balanced, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. Yeah. My gut feeling is that with this cast, it's possibly a good thing. My favorite thing about his video though was that the whole video there was a fan running in the background, but the second he said the words "shit hits the fan stopped. And I don't. It was perfect accidental comedy. I enjoyed it. But anyway, I have Duck down to finish in 8th place.
That makes sense, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
I'll just give quick brief thoughts on Duke. I've known of Duke for a long, long time, but I haven't seen him in a while. So yay to see Duke, I guess, come back, or at least in my realm. That analysis C, I feel like is really accurate. Like Duke is super normal. And this isn't us bashing you, Duke, when you see this. Like this is a compliment. Like Duke seems like neurotypical and like, you know, has his shit together and like probably doesn't snooze his alarm in the morning and always uses aftershave. Like, you know, like Duke just has got his shit together in life. Which is weird for Orgers. I agree with some others that I don't know if everyone will get his personality just because he is not as like flamboyant, not just flamboyant as a person, not just being gay. This is Pride Month. I'm not being homophobic. Like he's just, you know, more muted as a person. But the one thing I can say that is good for Duke at this moment in time is that he and Sky are very close. And we'll talk more about Sky later, of course, but based on that close relationship with Sky, I think he will be perfectly fine on Baikal. Even if not everyone else loves him a ton. So I don't know where I put
Also,
him. I could see him being early merge. I could see him being a swap fucked. Yeah.
Also, side note, I've been trying to get him to play Triumph for 4 seasons, and then it took Jordan just asking him casually, and he joined. So fuck you for that, Duke. Continue on.
Yeah, I've played with Duke or Duck a couple of years ago in a trios game. Who was playing with his two brothers. Yeah, he's a very, very normal, very charming, very people want to like him, which is nice. But I see him being seen as a big threat and taken out early merge.
Wait, he has brothers. Okay, we're gonna talk about this after the assessment. Bye.
Yeah, he has two brothers.
This is the first time Keisha's hearing this, and she's just ready.
One of them not your title, sorry.
No, because I started this Zoom thinking I was going to do a drinking game with my weed and I was going to smoke weed anytime somebody mentions any player's attractiveness. So I must now hit my weed pen. Because that was an indirect reference. I heard that, Keisha.
It absolutely was. I give you permission to hit your weekend.
Any more comments on Duke?
Quack.
Yes. So then next on my call is Gigi.
Oh,
I will
Gianna.
go first. Gigi, as a person, is very, very sweet. She's generally one of the sweetest people to talk to. You go around the org community, she is super sweet, super kind, all of that stuff. I love Gigi. She is not long for this world in this game. She is no. And this Gigi does not me ragging on you because I love you. It's just social connections wise, had by call lost, girl, you were getting voted out, and it wasn't going to even be close. It wasn't close. I'm pretty sure, regardless of what's happening today, I think the votes on either side were going to be unanimous or near unanimous. Regardless, Gianna would have been the one voted out on by call simply because no one's really getting a vibe with her. And she's super sweet. It's just, you know, she wasn't really there for the challenge, and she wasn't really there for conversations because she completely forgot that the game started when the game started.
She had a date. Leave her be. No, but no, Gianna's lovely. She played my first ever game that I played. She's great unless you cross her, and then she gets mad and can't move past that. Yeah, she's not making merge. As much as I love her, she's not making it past the next couple of rounds unless something dramatic happens. She thinks that one person is extremely close with her when that person said that he sees her as last on his list. So she's not really got her finger on the pulse of the game really either, which is a concern.
I like that Sanj just said that because, like, as I said, I just go off the videos, but my notes were that she seems friendly, she seems quite fiery. I personally, I think I'd really enjoy speaking to her. Several of the things she said, like I was like, oh, this kind of person. I think the problem was that I got the impression that she was one of those players that the second something went against her, her pursuit would overtake the logical aspect of the game. And like for me, if the game is being played in a quite balanced manner, and quite slow and measured, somebody like that can make it a long way. If it's messy, as orgs often are, that's the sort of person that goes early because they just can't control their emotions. I hedged a little bit on which it would be, and I had Gigi down as 14th.
Yeah,
So
no,
let's be clear about this. You guys are missing the aspect of the game where Baikal is not losing for a while, probably. So Gigi is not going anywhere. You guys missed that point. Gigi is here for a little while. So I don't know why you guys think she's not making merge when they probably are going all the way to merge.
I don't know how we
So
do
she's
this.
going to be here.
Always
Because if
have
you guys
one
have
try
not seen these two teams and how they interacted, she's probably going to be here for a little bit. And in that amount of time, have you not met Baikal? Did you not see them interact this way? They're going to start making targets of each other and forget that Gigi's even in the game and want to target somebody else beside Gigi. I agree with Brandon. Had they lost, it might have been a different story. But maybe we see this happen season after season. Somebody else is going to be on somebody's mind by the time they make it to tribal because they're about to win and go on a winning streak. And Gigi, baby, play the game. Gigi is going to be in this game. Now, I don't necessarily know that Gigi has a winner's edit right now. Based on the way these players are playing, they're playing fast and furious. Gigi is not playing fast and furious. And so I do think that Gigi's game is probably gonna make it somewhere to mid game because she's on a good tribe and that's what's gonna take her there. But I don't think she's playing at the pace of everybody else in terms of conversation, connection, just where they are. I think what will get her there, what will get her to advance beyond that is if she picks it up and if she somehow makes some type of personal social connections that makes people want to keep her because other people make themselves a bigger target and they think she'll be loyal to them and she will. Gigi's a very loyal player. So if they feel like she's going to be loyal to them and be a vote, they will keep Gigi around. And that's how Gigi will make it to the end game because they will be mad at somebody else. Somebody else will be a target. And we'll find ourselves talking about Gigi at the final five.
Yeah, I think Gigi's a really sweet person, and I kind of agree with what most people have said in the sense of she hasn't really been able to establish herself yet. And I think that kind of shows where a lot of people aren't really having her high on their priority list. But I also do agree with Keisha. I think right now she's on a decent tribe, and I think if Bakal keep winning, then I think Gigi will be in a good spot. I think if Gigi's able to establish herself, then I think she can do well. It's just whether or not she can truly kind of connect with this group of people and if she can kind of build some bonds. Because right now I haven't seen it, but anything can happen. We've seen it before.
I should add one thing quickly. She has got the most magnetic personality though. So if she does get to establish herself, people will love her. But she needs to just get that personality across and make the time to have that personality. But also, if she does get voted out, watch out for her exit speech. They're always iconic. They're always phenomenal. So, yeah, but she's wonderful, and I love her to pieces. But yeah, the way she started out isn't great, and I'm hoping the trajectory changes, but we'll see. Watch this space.
You guys just keep beating around the bush. I'm just gonna say it. What they're all saying is that Gigi has been inactive. Point blank, period. That's what everyone has been saying in a million different words. She's in trouble because she's been inactive. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes you don't know what day the game starts, even though you're told 5 times. Sometimes you decide not to get on Discord. I don't know if she's new to Discord, so that could be a thing too. So like, I'm not gonna because I know when you're new to an app, you forget to check it as often as a different app. So I'm gonna put that out there just in case she is new to Discord. But I agree with Brandon. I fear she would be the first boot on her tribe unless something crazy were to happen. I just double checked trust rankings. And out of the 5 people that have submitted, she is last on 4 of them. So it is just one of those where she just hasn't been around enough to make the connections. I think her personality is good enough to do so. She just isn't here to make that jump. So. And it's Jeremy. Jeremy's here listening. That's my partner. He plays orcs. Say hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
All right. Any final comments on Gigi? Okay. Next we'll go to James. Who would like to start with James?
I feel like Sam would be the person who want to start.
I was
with
about
this
to say
because Sam's
Sam.
the person that knows James the best.
I love James. No, James played an LRG with me last year. James is a brilliant player. He tends to overplay at times, and I think he may have started off by doing that. He's already trying to get alliances together and get an onion alliance together with layers upon layers upon layers. And I think that's something which is great for a round or 2 down the line, but maybe not when you haven't even won a tribal yet. Just give it a bit of time to get to know people. He's got a great personality. He's very, very good socially. He's very good at getting to know people. People seem to see him quite highly from what I've seen. He's a very, very good player. He was probably the favourite to win the LRG until he was voted out, when people realised he was going to win if he got to the end. And then he was like 7th, I think. But from like final 10 onwards, he had to pretty much win out to get there. He's a brilliant player. I'm so glad he's got into the community and he's really enjoying it. But yeah, I hope he just calms down a bit, because I'm worried he's going to play his hand too soon and be seen as slightly chaotic or messy. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you there, Sam. I think he's doing really well socially. I think he's really integrating himself with his tribe very well, which I thought he was going to do. And I kind of, instead of saying overplaying, I actually think he's oversharing. I feel like he's being very, very overly forthcoming with information. And I think he even realizes it, because I think in his pod chat about 3 times now, he's gone, I shouldn't have told this person this. Oh, I shouldn't have talked this much. So I think if he's able to mitigate his mouth, then I can see him doing well. Like, I can see him doing how kind of our newbies have done, like kind of how Justin did in Love and Peace, kind of how Kelly did in Sahara. I can see that for him. He just has to figure out to shut his mouth from time to time.
Yeah, I have to say also, in terms of just orc newbies for Triumph, we've always had a really good record, minus 1 person. We've always had like a really good record of orc newbies like in Triumph, always going to the merge and always doing really, really well, actually. So I mean, that's already a positive sign for James as is. I think James, if he learns to keep a little, like, 1 or 2 pieces of information with him and not like this, I want this to be an onion alliance. I want this person, in this layer, this person, just detailing everything out, like the Lex. Like, I hate to bring Lex into this because I love Lex, but Lex is a definition of oversharing in games. And if he just doesn't turn into a Lex situation, he's fine. He will do very well in this game. We love you, Lex.
So, Megan, take a dab, because James is one of the hotties for sure. I mean, everybody in Kevin's hot, but like for real, let's be real. That's going to help James in the audience, helping James, because people all want to get on call or James and talk to James. The reason James is saying he's oversharing is because everybody's talking to James. James is already pulling people in. What I have to say is that I agree. James started hot and fast, but James is in his pride chat going, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because James, what I like about James is that James is already being introspective. James is already thinking about it, realizing, reeling it in, and already analyzing his game to make it better before we even hit the first tribal. And what I've seen James do on calls is listen. So Sky and James are on a call, and Sky is an experienced org player. And James, I noticed, was listening very carefully to Sky, who was telling him, hey, maybe we don't do this onion alliance. Well, she didn't call it onion, but she was like, maybe we don't bring in 5 people right away if we don't know that the other 2 people want to be working together. The way that, and she said it nicely. She was like, oh, before we start talking about being in the group with them, maybe we should see if they like each other. And like, they had a good conversation about like how to form bigger alliances and whether or not to form them. he seemed to listen because he didn't go jump in and just like say, hey, form this chat because the alliance is not formed yet. And he was like, oh, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Okay, that's cool. I'm just going to go talk to this one person now and see how I feel about them and then see how they feel about so and so. But maybe me and you can continue to talk and go from there, but not rush into it. So I noticed that he's listening, taking notes, being introspective. And as a newbie, I think that'll take him far because he's willing to listen to all the other people who he recognizes are more experienced players. I see James going beyond merge. How far? I think it's going to depend on, again, how much he grows and how much he does. But I definitely see James going well into the merge and beyond. And he could possibly be in that final tribal council because I actually think he's doing well. I like what I see. People like him. They aren't voting him off because they want the eye candy. They're going to want to look at him for a while. So James is here for a while.
I would say top 5.
My on my notes, I had first of all that I'm pretty sure the pattern on his shirt is the same as the pattern on one of my duvet covers. And also that he sounds very normal, which is weird because he's from Newcastle and that's not right. So I'm wondering if he's been sedated, or he's like on the outskirts. No, nobody from Newcastle is normal. It doesn't make sense. On a game level, seemed very put together, seemed to suggest a degree of adaptability, which I think is always a good thing. And as daft as it sounds, I genuinely think in like American dominated games, regional British accents can go far just because people fawn over the regional British accent. I've unfortunately been blessed with a really boring one, but a Geordie accent, I think, could could do well. I've got him placed as 5th, so I think he'll do well.
Anybody else have anything?
I don't know, James, but I just want to say, we love newbies and we love newbies that come in and try really hard. And like you all have kind of mentioned, James has tried incredibly hard so far. And he needed no time to get in the groove of an online reality game as opposed to a live. However, since that's his only experience, again, he is playing very fast. But I love watching it. I'm happy James is here, and I hope he makes it to merge.
I just need to see it happen from like a TV point of view. I need to see James emerge. Because I feel like unchecked, James will implode in terms of like the oversharing, and I just want to see it happen as much as I don't want to see it happen first game.
Okay, so then who is next? Next is Juan.
I love Juan. He was literally in the last game I played with. But he is a little snake. In the best way. He's just really good at making you feel very comfortable. I don't know whether I think he's doing that, but I think also people have kind of clocked that sometimes conversations can be quite forced. So I think if Juan can kind of have those, I think if he can have VCs and have that kind of conversations with people, I think they'll warm to him more. I think once he's able to get his footing, I think he'll do really well. I know he's already got a couple of people that he feels really close with. So I mean, Juan is definitely someone who I don't see going early. I'd be very shocked if he didn't make it at least a swap. So yeah, I think he's going to do well. I think once we see the first couple of rounds play, that's when I'll kind of truly know where I see Juan's game going. But overall, I'm excited because it's Juan.
I think also part of the reason where I'm a little bit uncertain on Juan and how it plays, because usually if you're ever like making a cast. Like I noticed this with Triumph, we end up like when we start formulating the tribes, right? We end up starting with one person who has a lot of connections and trying to separate as many of those connections as we can. For this season, that was Juan. Juan, like just from being around, just from multiple games that he has played, knew some people that we just wanted to separate. Sometimes we accidentally put Michael and Ty on the same tribe, which has been hysterical. But we don't know this shit beforehand, right? So I think Juan is in a position where it's very interesting for him because a lot of the people that I think Juan would have immediately vied with are not on his tribe. They're on the other tribes. I think Juan has to put in a little bit more work in order to actually make connections more naturally, I want to say. That isn't to say he isn't doing a good job, because he very much is. And I don't think, from the way the tribes are set up, I don't think he's going anywhere right now. It's just really interesting to see specifically when a lot of people in the cast that you'd expect to vibe with, and he was commenting in his prod chat, like, oh shit, I'm on the wrong tribe. Yeah, you're on the wrong tribe because we made sure. Just because I think for a lot of people, we want to see you just not click with everyone immediately. We want to see kind of people, deal with people that maybe they don't necessarily vibe with immediately and all this stuff. So I think for the position that Juan is in, Juan's doing a really good job so far. So I have no complaints about how Juan's doing. I think he has every potential to win. I think he has every potential to go far. Yeah, he's someone who I honestly can see placing wherever. Just he isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
So
I
Juan is my buddy. I love Juan. Sorry, my headphones. Juan plays games differently. He plays every game differently, and I know Juan is looking for his win because he plays games differently and still can make it to the end of the game. And for whatever reason, they don't give him the win. Although he plays his heart out, he will find idols. He will find advantages. He will make social bonds. But as Ollie said, sometimes he'll snake people, and then they get bitter and they won't vote for him. But he doesn't always snake people. He can play a loyal game, and whatever reason he still doesn't get the win. And I say that because Sky on his team has already clocked him as somebody who she didn't know, but she's heard of him. And she thinks he's somebody who wins. So she's mentioned that. I heard her mention on talk. She's like, to someone else, she's like, yeah, Juan plays these games. I hear he's great. He wins these games all the time. And in my head, I'm like, no, he doesn't actually. And so she's already put that in the water. And so they're like, oh, Juan's a great player. And he's a great player, but he doesn't win. But that reputation is out there, and her hesitancy to work with him is because of that. She thinks, oh, if he's somebody who takes it in, we're going to get beat by him. And so she keeps saying, I've heard her say it multiple times now, I like him, I want to put him higher, but I'm afraid of him. And I'm not afraid of him, that wasn't the word, but afraid of going to the end with him or going too far with him because of his social connections. And like, I know he knows a lot of people because he's played a lot of these games. And so I think for Juan on his own tribe, although he doesn't have the social connections, his social connections are still possibly going to be a problem that he has to figure out how to deal with. But I mean, Ollie, you said it, I think, Brandon, you said it. He's great socially. He gets on these VCs, you feel comfortable with him, he's very chill because that's just who he is as a person. Like, he is a very chill person. He is playing these games for fun. He doesn't really get upset about much at all or anything. And he's just here to have a good time. You feel that from him once you get on these VCs with him. And you just want to have him around. And so that's why you keep him around. He gets up being around. And he's around until final tribal council. So he's another one who, as long as his social ties don't get him in trouble, I think he can be around until final tribal council. We'll see what happens. And because he's hit or miss with competition, it just depends on what the comps are. And he's hit or miss with finding advantages, but he's good at finding those idols. So we'll see if he does that in this game or not. That can help advance him forward.
I'm always like on a quest to find things that like interest me in the intro videos, and I really want to know whether it was a conscious decision from Juan to wear a t-shirt with a snake on it, because that's something interesting to put into like the pre-game ether, whether you're trying to give off that energy or if it's just like accidental. But he seems really chill. Again, another person that I felt like I could probably have a good conversation with. Seems very chilled. Didn't get the impression that much would phase him. Feel like he'll do well, and it's interesting that Keisha says he sort of doesn't get over the line in games. So like I put him down to finish third in this game, which kind of would continue that pattern. But based on what Keisha said, I feel like it would be a ton of fun if one won.
Before anyone answers, since it's the last thing I'll say about John one, I can actually answer that question. I believe the T-shirt with the snake was actually purposeful, based on what one was saying in his pro chat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was purposeful because I thought it was hysterical.
Love that.
I'll talk on one briefly. I love him. He's been so excited for the game. Like, he was so active before we made pro chats in his application channel every day, talking about how excited he was. So like, those people I always love and root for. And I can see Juan playing very well, but like, I also could see Juan accidentally crashing and burning early. I don't know why. Like, I feel like it will either be end game for Juan or like pre-merge because of accidentally like doing too much. But I'll be here for it either way. Any last comments? Okay, now we're going to go to Kyle M, the first of two Kyles we have this season. Sorry, Brandon, you gotta wait.
I know.
Okay, I'll go. So Kyle M is my friend who I love to death and I think is amazing. So I know that he likes Survivor games, and I know that he's played, I don't know how long it is, some other type of semi-long Survivor game, not as long as ours. I think it's like a 2-week Survivor game. But this is his first time, as far as I know, playing like this in like this community of long lords, and this level of like video call and all that kind of stuff type of long lord. So I'm super excited to see how he does, because from our gaming world and our community where it's a little bit less intensive, he usually does decently well, similar to Juan, does decently well, can get to the end, but gets like second place often because he for sure is a snake. Let me just tell you, I love Kyle. He'll call himself a snake. He is a snake. He will snake you. Like, one of our closest friends that we're all friends with, the first time they played a game together, he totally snaked her. And we talk about it all the time, and we give him a hard time about it. Because like, that's just, he's great though. Like, he's great entertainer. When you see him playing, he will like make you love him. You will like want to have his children. You will like want to give him $1 million, and you will get there to the end with him, and then he will cut you, and he will be the one at the end and not you, and you would think you'll be sitting there with him, and he's sitting there with like his enemy, and you're like, wait, that's the person we were going against the whole game. Why are you sitting there with him? And then he won't win because, like, you know, he did that, and everybody else is like looking at him like he's a bad guy. But it's great entertainment. All of us watching, and it makes it fun TV because you never know when it's going to happen. And he'll talk about it happening, but when it happens, it's great. And he's very smart. He's, again, very good at comps, and he will say he's not good at comps, but when I watch him play, he did a lot of comps. He wins a lot of things, and he's like very humble and trying to tell you he doesn't win things. That man wins a lot. He's very smart and very good at things. And can't wait to see him in some of our endurance physical competitions, because he's a dancer. I know has the physical ability to endure a whole bunch of our stuff. So if these players aren't watching out for him to let him get to the end game in this, like, look out. I'm very excited to see what he does, because I definitely think he is on my list of 3 people who are in my winner pick circle. But it just depends on like how social he can be, and if he is aware enough to be social enough in this level of the game, because again, he is new to this level of the game, and I don't know if he's aware enough of the social connections that's needed. Well, he knows social connections are needed, but like, you know how much we have to talk in this level. I don't know if he realizes how much we have to talk in this level of orgs. And so as long as he gets on board with that and catches on to that, he'll go far.
Yeah, I agree. I have I like Kyle. I mean, being an ex dancer as well, have to root for the ex dancer. Um, I I think he's going to do well. I'm surprised, especially with he hasn't been the most active, but he has been traveling. But it hasn't seemed to affected him. It hasn't seemed to have affected him that much, as opposed to others. I feel like he's been able to kind of charm people a bit more. Um, I still think right now he's got a bit more work to do, but I think if he is able to kind of commit to making those social connections and really being able to push those strong bonds, I can see him make emerge and doing really well. I can see him kind of being the person that comes from behind and surprises some people at the end. But that is if he's able to make those social connections. But I'm rooting for Kyle. And also, Keisha said that sorry, just quickly. Keisha said that it was James that everyone's going to get the eye candy off, but I think like 3 people have already said he's the trade of the season and find him attractive. So.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, no. Let's actually make this very clear. Kyle M is very much daddy.
There we go, Meg.
Yeah, no, my notes started off with I struggle to believe that man is 40. He looks younger than me, despite me being 6 years younger. I want to know where the endless supply of virgin's blood that he is clearly ingesting is. Because I need to steal some of that supply. He reminded me a lot of Gage. There was this friendly, kind of sweet, calm vibe to it, but also the very clear indication that not only will he not worry about stabbing you, he'll stab you in the front. Like he does not even worried about sneaking around to the back. Will straight up cut you if it benefits him. It was almost like the feeling I got from it was almost identical to the feeling I got from Gage last season. And given Gage did pretty well, I had to go with Carl doing well as well. So I had him down as finishing fourth.
I'll just make a comment on Kyle. I'm very excited for Kyle. I would say Kyle's hot, but I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to smoke weed again. But yes, Kyle will be looking great. I am worried that his activity level has been not the greatest for this first round, but I'm not worried that he won't be able to pick it up after he's done traveling. I actually really like the Gauge comparison a lot. I could see that being very accurate to how Kyle plays. And I like just from like the interview, like I like going through casting, sometimes it's hard to remember early interviews on in the casting process, and Kyle was a fairly early interview. But even when we went to go decide the cast, I had remembered Kyle's interview and remembered how much like I was charmed by his interview. So I think that's gonna go a long way for him. And I could see him making merge easily. Final comments.
Kyle's hot.
Fuck you.
Okay, let's move on before.
I would just say one thing. For what it seems like, he seems to be quite hot. So
I'm not doing that again. I'm not gonna be able to talk about the players at the end. I'm just gonna be staring at the fucking thing.
You're the one who told us about this.
I know. I didn't think you guys would like try to ruin my life. Next
has Ollie gone?
we're gonna go to Kinsey.
I love Kenzie.
I'll be back, Sam. You had to run.
The Kenzie that I knew from a couple years back has definitely matured into the Kenzie that we see now. Active again, she had moved to Australia. She definitely seems a lot more mature than when I knew her, because Kenzie had, because Kenzie can very much be a firecracker, especially when I played with her. And I'm very excited to see Kenzie play where in kind of the life state that she is now because she moved to Australia and everything else. So she's technically our Australia representation for this season. Yay! I'm very excited to see Kenzie play. I don't know where Kenzie is going to place in terms of everything because, again, with Australian players, and we've kind of seen this, you either are able to kind of like adapt and talk to people based on the times of difference, or you aren't. I can speak with my season, for instance, with um Tita, I believe it was, who just really didn't. The times of difference really screwed her, and then you had I think G-Tune was in Australia at that point, or in that same time zone. And G-Tune, even though he left pre-merge, was still very active in terms of talking to people and making connections and everything else. So, Kenzie can go either way. I don't know where she'll place, but I'm very excited to see her back. Like, and
I like Kenzie. I've just played a game with her. She was the first boot of merge. I can see her being the same thing again. This game, she doesn't seem to be behind many people on a whole lot of people's lists right now. Yeah, she's great, and she definitely chilled over the last couple of years for sure. But yeah, I don't know unless she steps her game up a little bit. I don't see her making it too far. But she's awesome.
My notes picked out the line I always play with my heart and soul, which I noted was a change from last season where you had a few players who played with their head and a lot of players who played with their genitals. So heart and soul is a new one, or at least a new one for recent Triumph history. She seems chilled. I just my natural inclination is to say that the time difference will be brutal, and like I didn't. There was nothing wrong with her intro video at all, but it didn't necessarily give me a vibe of, oh, this is going to be a really strong social player or a really strong strategic player or a comp beast. It was like I didn't I didn't get a vibe that anything was going to be strong. So obviously this can't happen because they're tribe one. But when I made my list, I had Kinsey as first boot just because I thought between the time difference and the fact that I wasn't really sure what kind of player she was going to be. I at least got something a bit more from most of the other intro videos. But she seems sweet, so if she does well, I'd be perfectly content.
I think she might go at swap or merge. She'll be somebody who's easy as a sacrifice.
And she won't be happy about it.
there you cut out.
I don't know much about Kinsey. I don't know if she's bonding really well with people so far. Like, I think with some people, and I don't even know if it's like the time zone because like I feel like her activity level has been more than some other players in this game. But I know she didn't like help much in the challenge, right? So that might be like why some people aren't valuing her as much as others. So I don't know. Like I feel like Kinsey will be a pre-merge boot. If by call somehow ends up losing a ton of challenges pre-swap, but I don't know her style of gameplay overall, so she could surprise me. Where to Ollie?
Overall, yeah, Ollie had to jump off. He'll be back soon, he said in the prod chat. Yeah, but Kenzie's a big question mark for me, so I hope she surprises me, honestly.
Any other comments on Kinsey? And then if not, we will move on to somebody who I think somebody here will have a lot to say about. Last call for Kinsey. Alrighty, so next up we have Laura. Whoever wants to go can take it away.
Malik, do you want to go or can I start? I love Laura to pieces. Laura is the reason I'm here with you guys now. So you can blame her for that. She's one who introduced me to the community. I've known her for about 5-6 years. I'm so proud of how she's transformed as a person over the last couple of years in terms of confidence, because I've been trying to get her to play this game for years, and she's now just over the last couple of years got confident enough to do it. She's a good player. She is very, very social. She is fairly good at knowing where people stand in these games. I've hosted her 3 times in a previous game, and she came close to winning one of those games. Yeah, she's a very, very, very good player. In terms of social standing, I don't think she started off hugely well here. Yeah, I don't see her being hugely high on many people's lists, but I'm hoping there's room for her to really work her charm and get to where she needs to be.
So watching the intro video, I was trying to make a note of all the things in work out whether like there was something starting with every letter of the alphabet in case there was some sort of spelling comp. Like I became fixated on the mound. I also felt that Laura to me felt like somebody that you'd meet on a legalized weed march. I don't know whether that's accurate or not. Just that was just the vibe I got. It feels like she would be a social player, but within there's sort of some sorts of social players that like work better with different whether or not she would vibe with this particular cast. I kind of I ended up being sort of not too convinced and put her down as 16th. But again, if she proves me wrong, like I'd be perfectly content for that. She seems sweet, just wasn't really sure where she'd be able to like take this particular game in terms of going far.
So Laura has been doing a good job, like Sam said, of making some social connections. I've been able to listen to a few calls between Laura and other players who've been on VC, in particular her, Juan, and James, I know have been on VC together, in like the Tribe VC a couple of times. But she's definitely been on calls with people. She has good humor, very sarcastic. People seem to laugh. Her conversations have been good and seem to be driving well. So that's good for her. I think obviously she hasn't been able to, I don't think, talk to everyone yet on VC, but when she does talk to people, it seems to be engaging. They seem to like her. And I noticed, I think, for them, that helps move her up, because I do think without that, she kind of can blend in a little bit with the wallpaper. But once she talks to people, they're like, oh yeah, Laura, I like Laura, right? So I think that's just only going to help her on this tribe again to say one. She's going to have more time to engage and do that. And I actually think that's really good for her. And I don't know how far she will go, because again, it's going to matter like who's going to end up being her closing bond. Because even though she's been on call with James and Juan, and I feel like they had good connections, they both, I think, have her middle of the road. And so they don't have her as their closest people, which is crazy to me, because I feel like they should. Because Laura strikes me as somebody who would be a loyal player. So hopefully people in this game will be open to that and start feeling that out and really sense that from her, and will want to like go further with her. Because I want to see Laura in this game go further, and I think that would be good for them and for her.
So I can finally speak to somebody. So Laura, as you guys know, is my girlfriend, but I played my last game for her, and as Megan knows, she voted me out, traded me in the final 5. But during that game, she was very stuck to one group, stuck to a very friendly, tried to everybody. Very social, what Sam said. But I my only fear for her in general in games is that she would stick to one group and not go outside that group. and when you find that group to not go outside a group, will struggle with talking to other people outside that group, and stick with that group. So wondering, like, would I hurt her during merge when everybody come together? Will I hurt her when it comes to merge?
Laura's really sweet. I fucking love Laura. I played a mini with her once, and she was like honestly one of the sweetest people I had ever met just from interacting with her. And I think a lot of people who do get to know Laura in games just will have that. There's certain people that you just gravitate towards instantly. Laura's one of them. I really, really, really hope Laura does well. Like, really hope Laura does well. Yeah, I love Laura. I really don't have much to say on some people just because, in terms of my call specifically, I don't really have as much strategy talk as Koryak, for instance, because Koryak's going to tribal. Koryak also strategically, I think, has been one of the more active in terms of the tribe dynamics. So I don't really have much to say from people from my call. I'm not going to be around for much because I got D&D in like 25 minutes, but whatever. I love Laura, though. I love Laura. She's so sweet. Love her. Love her.
I also love Laura. I also think she's very sweet. I also am a tad worried just because of a slow ability to connect with people, but I think Laura seems to be one of those people who's like a slow burn kind of. Like it takes a little bit of time, but then you love her. So maybe she's just shy at first and it'll get easier, and they won the first round. So I hope that she starts being valued by other people on her tribe more, but I don't think anybody doesn't value her. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like people are just kind of like content with her at the moment. Not necessarily having her above or below other people. So, I could see Laura making merge, and I would like to see Laura make merge because she has talked a lot about how she wants to start, or I guess keep, considering she voted out Malik, but keep or start playing a little more cutthroat than she's used to. So I really want her to be here long enough to like carry that out, and see how that like new strategy goes.
Yeah, I see her maybe becoming ninth.
I can see Laura between 9th and 5th place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to add, I like Laura even more knowing that she cut Malik. All right, Malik.
Voted out her own boyfriend, honestly, iconic.
So I think if no one has anything to say about Laura, I know Z requested to go first for the next person, but I'll follow after. Z, next person we have up is Sky.
Okay. So I was very distracted by her adorable dog. Literally one of the cutest dogs I've ever seen. She would probably be a social player. Seemed like a really positive person, like sort of struck me as the type that would probably have like affirmations and certain mantras for their life. The one thing I couldn't tell was that she was almost so positive and happy. I couldn't. Some people might find too much. I couldn't tell whether sort of she might be a bit like full on if you sort of had to speak to her every day for like the course of 6 weeks. If she's like, if she is too much for some people, that might cause issues. My gut feeling is to lean more towards the she's just enough and going to be a good social player. And I have her down as finishing 6th. And yeah, now I can rescue my bladder.
I think Sky is either gonna win this game or be taken out in the biggest blindside of the season. I think she's set herself so well so far. Just seeing her on calls and how she is with people, she's amazing. I didn't know her before this, but she is brilliant. Everyone seems to really like her. So yeah, she's either going to win or be taken out on a big blind side because people see what a big threat she is.
Just to add on to that, I love Sky to death. She is one of a amount of very good friends I have in this org community. Megan and I played an All-Stars game with her, which she absolutely demolished and won. I shared a house with her for a week, and we got drunk as fuck together. That is amazing. Sky is an incredibly dangerous social player. There are two women specifically that I think have every single capacity to win this game. Sky is one of them because of how good of a social player she is, and she has no qualms with cutting people as well. I had 2 recruits for this season. One, I mean, come on. And then Sky was the second. I love Sky to death. I have nothing but positive things to say about Sky. She has every single capacity to win this game, and if she doesn't make merge, it will be an utter shock. I see her going very far, and if she's not taking that before the end, she will make you regret it.
So I just want to add that I think Sam stole what I was going to say. I think not completely, but I definitely think the way that Sky goes out is going to be a blind side, and that's the way you got to get Sky, because Sky is very strategic, very smart. I've also played a game with Sky, and Sky had to go on the blind side. But I think that is Sky's weakness, is that Sky is very much strategic in the forward-looking game. Sky is thinking about the next move. Sky is socially great, but Sky isn't always willing to think about the fact of her own threat level and the fact that other people will and can get her out. And because she's socially great, she knows she's socially great, and she takes for granted that people will get her out because of that social greatness. And I think that's where she can be blindsided. And because I know that in this game, Sky has people who will take her out on the other tribe in a swap, in an emerge situation where the numbers might not be on her side, she is going to go in guns blazing to get people out, but she might get got instead. So I think it's just going to be a numbers game, and it's going to be great to see who gets who first and where the numbers fall and how we decide to run this game, whether there's a swap or a merge and where Sky lands. I do agree that I think she'll make it that far. On how far Sky goes.
I don't know. I'm gonna disagree a little bit with Keisha here. And this isn't because I've seen Sky play a ton of games, but like Brandon said, we played a game with Sky and she won. So in the one game that I've seen Sky play, she played more under the radar, I think, than her personality would suggest. Like Sky was never a contender for a vote in that game, I don't think. She was never in trouble, and like, I don't know, nobody knew like the extent of her game. So I feel like, I don't know, unless that was like a one-off for her, which I mean, then that's still awesome. I feel like Sky will be able to avoid a target longer than we may think. But honestly, if I'm being real, like even if she doesn't end up at the top of the trust rankings for this round, she is currently running her tribe. Like it's kind of like where she is, like if they go to tribal, whatever she says will probably end up what's happening because everybody has her at the top. And that's why I was saying earlier for Duke that he'll probably be okay because Sky loves him the most, and she'll have a lot of influence. So I'm really excited for Sky. I think she could win this game as well.
I agree, Megan, if they didn't know her. But the difference is on the other side, Michael and Ty know her. That's why I say depending on where she falls with swap, that's what I mean.
We'll get to Michael and
She'll go
Ty.
under the radar. No, but she'll go under the radar
We'll get to Ty eventually.
until we see
Yeah.
who she's with. And those are the people in particular I'm thinking about, because like
Yeah.
everybody else will let her go under the radar. Those two will not.
Yeah, depending how much power they have.
Right. And that's why I said it just depends on
Yeah.
how the cards fall. That's exactly why I said it just depends on how the game plays out.
Anyone else have a comment on Sky? If not, we will get to our final member of my call, which is Tasha. I'll just start briefly for Tasha really fast. I don't have much to say for her. I didn't know Tasha before. I'm pretty sure she was a Jordan recruit as well. Jordan gets women to, I don't know, throw themselves at him, I guess. Um, and but like she was kind of quiet for the first day, and I was really scared for Tasha. Oh, bye, Malik. And I was really scared for Tasha, but I don't know what it is. I love her personality in her the way she sends messages. Like she's very comedic, very funny. Um, and I think she's gonna do fine. I think people really love her, even though she had a quiet start. So I could see Tasha
Well, she
making
almost got shot.
what?
She almost got shot for this last challenge. She almost got shot for this last challenge, according to her words.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Saying the
like she
sign
really
and
wasn't
whatnot. So
there
I
at
think even
first.
with
Yeah. But I'm really
yeah.
interested to see how Tasha does because she's really fun and I think like people won't take her seriously, which could be good if she has like the ability to think super strategically while making people think she's not that smart kind of thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I have for Tasha.
I have much to say about Tasha as well. I'm leaning towards late pre-jury right now, just because I don't know how Tribe Swap will shake out and eventually what might happen with Tasha. She definitely seems to have endeared herself to her tribe though, which I think will save her for now. I'm very curious to see what happens later on with Tasha or how she's able to kind of like position herself, if that makes sense. So I don't really have much to say. Tasha was so funny in that challenge. Tasha was so funny in that challenge.
Yeah, Tasha's a question mark for me in terms of I don't see her building social bonds with everybody. She's talking to some people a little here and there. She did try in the challenge. I agree. She was funny, and I do think that's what's got her not. She's like not. If she like they went to tribal, I don't think she was going to be in trouble necessarily. But also, I think where she does have stronger ties, it's because of prior connections, not necessarily because of a strong social game yet here. So that's only going to take you so far. You got to like really build them here. So I definitely think Kasha has work to do to really build up the social connections here if she's going to like go far. So I think for now she's a question mark to see what she does while they have this time because they're not in danger to really figure out like how far is she going to go and how much is she going to do to like really put in the work to make it on this tribe and really show that she's like here to stay. Hey Haley,
Hi.
Wi-Fi died for Z.
We're talking about Tasha right now.
We're
If
on
you have any
Tasha.
thoughts,
Mm.
so we're both.
And Haley, we'll
responding.
let you go back to the rest of my call before we move on to Koryak if you have.
Yes, so
Yeah.
Tasha, perfect timing because I actually played my first ever org with Tasha, period, queen. I don't really know much to touch on her gameplay per se, but she is social when she wants to be. And she's not gonna be afraid to call people out.
Yeah, so I was intrigued because she started her intro video by saying, "This is my intro video," as if like we would be confused that maybe it was an advert or a pop-up. But yeah, and then she said, "I've been out in the sun all day," and I was like, I believe you've been out in the sun all day. I just also believe that you were joined by a bottle of wine or two, because I don't know whether it's accurate, but her intro video, she seemed smashed. Um, I, I don't really necessarily get a vibe for what kind of player she'd be, other than if the video was anything to go by, probably messy. Uh, I sort of, yeah, I didn't necessarily get brilliant game player vibes from the intro video. Enjoyed the intro video, but didn't necessarily get good game vibes from it, and put her down as 18th place.
Ooh, do you have like a whole thing of like where you think
Yeah,
people are gonna place?
he's had like rough placements for everybody this entire time.
Mm.
Yeah, I look, if I'm gonna do a cast assessment, always make sure I'm prepped. Notes and a early standing.
Does anybody have anything else to say about Tasha? If no one else does, Haley, we can go back quickly and you could talk quickly about the other Bicol members before we move to Koryak, which I have to pop up soon, so I request we do one person first, but regardless. Haley, if you want to comment on anybody else on Bicol?
So Sky, I think Sky's gonna do very well. I'm excited to see Sky. Never played a game with her, but I've seen her around the community. I know she's very likable. She always makes it far from at least what I've seen, so I think she'll have a deep run. I'm excited for her, rooting for her. I'm also interested to see how your brother plays. I don't if he is he on that tribe or is he on the other tribe?
Yeah,
No.
he's on Koryak.
Nope, there's two
Oh
Kyles.
shit, never mind.
There's
Yeah,
two
we haven't
Shit.
gotten there yet.
Fuck. Fuck. Never mind. But the other person that I was thinking of is Duke. That's Daddy right there. Love Duke.
Take
He's
another,
so
take
Damn
another
it,
shot
Megan.
of your pen,
No,
Meg.
my throat hurts. I'm gonna just eat chips instead of. Haley, you missed it, but I had a drinking game with my weed vape. But anytime someone calls somebody hot or attractive, I hit it. So thank you.
Oh
Yeah,
damn, you would have
she-
done that. You would have done that a lot with me here, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
No,
take a break for a minute to eat some chips. But
she tapped out Kyle Mullins.
I'm dead. Yeah, Duke is gonna do good. Love Duke. I'm excited to see him play. I don't think I've ever actually watched him play a game. But that's all. The other people I don't know.
damn,
That's
okay.
fair.
Fine. All right, so we're gonna go to Koryak. Woo, this is gonna take a while. This has taken a while.
Yeah, if I can request to do someone first because I'm not gonna be here and I'd like to talk
You
personally
want to go
about it.
just straight to Kyle first before you got to go to D&D?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So for those who maybe not have put it together, Kyle is my younger brother. So yeah, he got into orcs around 2021 just to be closer to me. So he's been strictly on the Discord side of things. I love him to death. He is one of the kindest people I have ever met. I have also created an absolute monster when it comes to orcs. He is a pathological liar. He will lie about anything and everything. He is very much a villain. He very much has no issue snaking people in the back. He is a mini me, and that is terrifying. One Brandon in the game
It
is
is.
enough. Two Brandons? Imagine two Brandons in the game. The world would end. Kyle has every capacity to play a winning game. There are a couple people on Koryak that I believe are in an untouchable position right now. Kyle is one of them. I think Kyle has every single ability to do very well in this game. For my own ego, I know I left the game when I initially played Japan. So the little part of me is hoping he does better than me. A lot part of me is hoping he does worse than me so I could be the better place than Gianni. But regardless, I love my little brother to death. And I'm always going to be rooting for him in this game.
I can talk about Kyle a little bit because I've played with him and watched him play in Soupmans. Kyle is a villain. I don't know why you just called yourself a villain, Brandon. Kyle is so much more of a villain than you. You're not even a villain, right?
Yes.
But like he's good. Like this isn't me being an asshole. Kyle is a much better player than Brandon. Like truly,
Yeah.
I don't know what like Kyle can just manipulate people and lie to them and make them believe him. And it's insane to watch. And during casting, I was worried about Kyle's ability to bond with a lot of the older people in this game. But Kyle is killing it, like Brandon said. I'm just checking out the trust rankings so far. We don't have them all yet. For his tribe, we're missing 3 people. Well, one of them is him, so we're missing 2 for his ratings. And without 2 players, he is in first. So I mean, Kyle is in a really, really good spot right now. But I don't think he's being painted as somebody who's like very clearly doing well. So I see Kyle being here for the long haul. Which is a happy surprise for me because I wasn't sure. I felt it could go either way.
And Megan and I will take events down the slightest. We have different game styles. It's fine.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like it's kind of like sometimes whenever you play a game and there's like an older cast, it can be hard to like really connect with those people. But sometimes when you do, it's like those people will trust you more than they'll trust the other people, like the other old people. So like that's good that he's able to already get those connections in already. So I'm interested to see him play. Like I said before, he's kind of easy on the eyes, so I'm not mad about that. But I'm excited to see him play, you know. Obviously I played with you, Brandon, so I'm excited to see a younger version of you play.
I
met Haley. Kyle is he is a little cutie. He really is. Brandon's a cutie too. They're both cuties.
I was very distracted during Carl's intro video because dogs. I was just about starting to pay attention after like clocking the first dog, and then a second dog appeared, and I was like, this is amazing. But on a serious note, I feel like a degree combination of poli-sci and communications is like, if you're not clocking that as dangerous, the second you hear those words, you're not playing the game right. So my vibe was that he is probably somebody who would do really well early on and then probably make the merge, and then people would go, wait a minute, this person's a threat. Why the heck are we keeping him? So I have him down as 11th, but it's like an 11th with respect. I feel like he's going to get one of those mid placements because he's clocked as a good player. If this cast are idiots, he could go a long way. But yeah, like the intro video, I was immediately like, threat. If I was playing, it would be, very, very, very much on my radar just from those two words.
I disagree. I think he's gonna make endgame. Truly. I truly don't think
As is the
he's gonna paint him as
Gianni
a
way.
threat, because I think that is when the age will come into benefit for him. I think people won't think he's running things just because he is younger. I think Kyle's making endgame. I'll give him 4.
Yeah. Again, Keisha, you go. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it depends. I think he definitely has the skill set to make it to the end, but also I think he might overthink it. And if he overthinks it, I think he might be the reason he goes out. I think he'll mess himself up, right? And I say that because I think he'll try to do something or overplay or do something and find an advantage, or try to like blindside someone while the vote's on him and throw the votes the wrong way, and he'll go out like with 3 votes while like telling him and his allies throw votes somewhere, and like really he should have just like voted together instead of split a vote. And like I think he'll like try to big brain something. If he goes out, it's gonna not be because of the other people, it's gonna be because he's big braining it and gets himself out. But I agree with what's been said in terms of like, from what I've seen so far, I think he's smart and has the capacity to like go far in the game. But definitely, even from what I saw from the first couple of days where he's like, I'm doing too much, I need to back off. I'm like, you're not doing anything more than anybody else is doing. Why are you backing off? And you backing off to definitely make people think, oh, where did he go? Because the last day is what people are going to remember as far as what people do. And it's not hurt him, obviously, but stuff like that where you're like overthinking so soon is what I think. And if you do that throughout the game, will mess your own game up that has nothing to do with anybody else. But let me just say, I love Kyle. Kyle is my baby, and if they hurt Kyle, then I'm gonna hurt them. That's all. Mwah.
I don't know him at all. I'm excited to see him play. I'm excited to see how his gameplay differs to yours, Brandon. I'm excited to see just how he goes through the game and just the connections he makes. It should be good. Yeah, the jury's out in terms of how far I think he'll get. I don't know how he plays, but from what you guys have said, I've got a good feeling about him.
Yeah. I love my brother to death. I'm just happy I bullied him into actually applying for this season. It was fun. It was a lot of fun bullying him to apply for this. I'm not gonna
I do have
lie.
a question though. How many games has he played? I know you said he started in like 2021. Is that what you
He's played a
said?
lot.
He
He's
plays
played
a
a
lot.
lot.
He plays on Discord. And honestly, Brandon, I've been also wanting to cast Kyle for a good bit now, but I know that like for at least some part of me wanting to cast him, he was like not 18 yet. So like I mean
Yeah.
like I've known him for a little while at that point.
Yeah.
So. Thank you,
Yeah,
Brandon.
I feel like he's gonna get I feel like he's gonna get 8th place. Like that's what I keep envisioning, somewhere around there. He'll either make it far, like towards the end and get cut, or I think he's gonna get somewhere around 8th place. That's kind of the vibe
My
I've got.
my
Ninth,
honest bet before I
I said
leave,
8th.
but ninth, match Brandon.
I would laugh. I would very much laugh if he got 9. But I think honestly, we've kind of made jokes about this because a lot of times when both of us play, if we usually get far, we end up getting endgame juror. That's ironically where I see him, as is the Gianni way. Anyways, I gotta pop off. Yeah. Bye.
Alrighty. Final comments on Kyle before we go back to alphabetical order on Koryak. Okay. So then first alphabetical order is Ashley. And I just quickly want to say, who was it earlier that made a comment? Lizzie was on earlier. She had to go though, but her comment she added was that she's obsessed with Ashley's entire vibe, but she doesn't know if that vibe is going to be for everyone. So I did make sure to say that comment out loud. Who else wants to talk about Ashley?
I will. So I actually just played a game with Ashley. It was before Paragraph. It was a traders game, and we were both traders together. It was like 4 of us, something like that. I will say she was the least active. Is she active in this game? I hope she is. If she isn't, oh, okay.
She was on a camping trip this weekend, so I don't know. Like she's saying that's the reason, but I don't know if it's gonna get better.
Right. Because I don't want that to be like something that gets her out of the game, because that kind of is what happened in that game. So I don't want it to be like a similarity. But I think she connects with some people, but also I don't know if she's everyone's cup of tea, like someone else said. But yeah, I don't know. I think she's gonna get no offense, but I think she's gonna get like an early boot. But hopefully she does well.
I basically there always seems to be like one crazy lady on every Triumph cast I've seen. And they're usually a crazy cat lady. This is the first time I've seen a crazy chicken lady. I very, very much got Debbie vibes off Ashley. Slightly less crazy eyes, but definitely that sort of archetype. Yeah, I don't that sort of player, it's like they can do well, they can also do terribly. And I sort of it she was one of the hardest ones to suss for me because in terms of like content to give me an idea about gameplay and style, there wasn't much. And so I'm just going off archetype. And it is probably one of the most variable archetypes in terms of like finishing position. So I've literally just kind of copped out and gone bang in the middle and said 10th place because I literally think anything from first boot to final tribal is possible. And yeah, I have no idea where she plays.
Yeah, Ashley is wild. She definitely is the Debbie type. I think someone else, either in the VL or the host chat, compared her to like Carolyn.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I think 8 hours ago, if you had asked me, I would have said I think Ashley might be gone soon. But even since those 8 hours, I'm wondering if like because Koryak is a little messy. Just to let y'all know, Koryak is a bit messy with this first tribal. Even though it might end up being a easy vote, I think people are gonna start like going crazy. So like I would be surprised if Ashley just kind of gets by on the I'm crazy and I'm fun and you think it's entertaining to watch me be here and talk about dumpster diving and show off my catfish pictures. Like I could see her just kind of like slipping through and making it to swap. At which point I don't know if she would be targeted if she swapped with like numbers, they might just keep her and use her. So Ashley's a wild card for me. She could be gone in the next 2 rounds, or she could like somehow just like get to merge and like we don't even realize it. Um, but she's really fun. She's funny. She has no idea how Discord works, so I haven't lost my cool with it yet, but we'll see. Sam, comments on Ashley.
Yeah, she seems to be very well liked by certain people, and I think that's going to bode well for the first couple of tribals that they go to. But I don't see her making a merge.
Alrighty. Next let's go to Asi. Also known as Nasir, also known as Bobby, also known as what else? What are the other names? He's even said it, he's like, I go by like 1,000 names. But in Triumph,
Oh yeah.
it's Asi. Who has comments on him? Libby, you need to
My
kick off.
my biggest issue when watching the intro video was I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but he basically said, "I'm RC," and I was like, that means something very different. If you're living in the UK, I was just sort of, you know, uh, I realized that the sentence like I'm feeling arsey today, very very different meanings if you're this side of the pond or that one. Um, but right. I don't know if you remember the cast assessment last time we did this, and I watched Abby's video, and I basically went, why would you admit that you're gonna be a bitch and try and play the villain on your intro video? And I kind of felt the same with Arcee, because he basically went, I'm really two-faced. And I'm like, why would you admit to that? And so for me, I'm like, I would not trust this person one little bit, because that's the energy they're putting out straight away. And they're supposed to be selling themselves. So if that's one of the good points. But then I also went back to the fact that I thought this about Abby. And I was like, why are you saying you're going to be a bitch? But like the whole cast was like, woo, yeah, bitch. And I was like, uh, okay. So maybe people will lap this up too. Like I don't know. Seems like he will probably be messy based on my personal feelings that two-faced isn't a good thing to sell, and that he feels like he's going to be messy. I have him down as 15th place, but
I feel like he's a part of that like messiness that you're talking about. I don't know, I just get that vibe from the cast review video. He seems like he's gonna be entertaining though, so I'm interested to see like what he does. Like I feel like he's someone who would call someone out at a tribal or something. I don't know, I just get that vibe. So hopefully for the entertainment purposes only, I hope he sticks around a little bit.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't
who
see
are we
him
doing?
staying around too long.
We're doing, let's see. Do you have any comments?
I do. Okay, so I see is a character for sure, but I see is a character in the sense that that's what he comes across as. But I see is very smart and can be very loyal to the right person and right people. So I know that I played like a lot of games with I see minis, short term. Well, yeah, short term like 2 week, 3 week orgs with I see, and IC has never once lied to me or been disloyal to me in an org, but IC can also turn on you depending on how he feels about you. So IC can be very smart, has great memory, and can be an asset to a tribe in certain types of games and can win the like logical memory type, those mind game things, those kind of whatever comps. And can be a very good asset, but like you have to know that, right? Because I see purposely likes to downplay and play goofy and be goofy, and that can get him in trouble early game and can get him out, which I think with this tribe being in danger today, that could be a danger for IC tonight. And they might not get to see that there's value in IC being on the tribe that might have value for them in the future. Or for individuals on the tribe, they might not see that he could be a valuable, loyal player for them to go into a swap or a merge with or make it to end game with. Because that is the type of player that he is. He can come across as a character. I think that's what Haley was saying, a good character, someone fun to watch and be entertained by, but also someone who is strategic and smart from a game bot sense, but you don't automatically see the game bot side of IC, but IC is very much game bot that people don't know that is there. And that's the fun dynamic of IC that I love to see when you get IC into 3 or 4 rounds into a game and you'll see the game bot part come out and you don't even realize it's there, which is the great part of him. Great dynamics. Let's hope we get to see it. It's hard to say because you know my theory. I think this tribe is probably not going to win alive.
Yeah, I'm worried for SE. He might be too bold, especially for the early game, is my concern. I mean, like he is not afraid to name names and say what he wants to happen. Whether he is like aware of what that would mean for the rest of the tribe. Like Asi, I think is just not, he doesn't think past what he wants for his game to think about like what the other players value, if that makes sense. Like most players, I think, who are able to have that awareness would go, I don't vibe with Haley, but I can tell that everyone else vibes with Haley, right? He doesn't really have that, at least not yet. So like he could get himself in trouble by saying I don't vibe with Haley, and everyone else is like, well, we fucking like Haley more than you, kind of thing. So I fear that he could be in trouble soon, because he might not know how to shut his mouth. But I love his energy. So I hope he figures it out. Any final comments? All
I'm
right.
gonna have to head to bed now, guys. But
Good night,
have
Sam.
fun. It's
Good night,
night.
Sam.
Speak to you guys. Nice seeing you guys. Bye bye.
End of
Sleep well,
cardiac arrest,
birthday
like,
twin.
so sad. Stop, Libby. So next up is the resident Love Island contestant. She moved into the villa. She's showing off her ass. It's a great ass. Some people have already said that they're tired of seeing her ass, and it's literally been 2 days. Next up we have Brady, who wants to get us started.
Right. I've sort of been waiting for this one because I'm gonna have my old man yelling at Cloud moment with this one. I get that some people find that intro video, iconic because it's well produced, it's possibly a parody. I just think like it didn't give off Triumph intro video, it gave off like OnlyFans Next Top Model. And I'm like, I can understand if sort of your role is to be like the vamp, the femme fatale, whatever, flirt your way around it, but at least give an idea of that and say something and give some kind of idea that you're actually turning up to play a game of Survivor. Like some people are going to be like, Z takes this too seriously, and that's possibly true. But like for me, it irritated me because it like there is absolutely nothing about that, barring the intro and the outro that you guys added, that suggests it has anything to do with this whatsoever. And that really bugs me. And then on top of that, I'm kind of like, you're supposed to be giving an idea of what you have to offer, and like I kind of feel like it's a little bit
I think
sad
she
to me.
accomplished that. I think she did.
Well,
She
but that's the thing, is that makes me a little bit sad if you're going into a game about sort of strength and strategy and communication and all these things, and you think your ass is the leading thing you have to offer. I'm kind of like that, you know. I'm sure there is more to her, and I'm sure that she was just trying to be silly and funny and whatever, but it irritated me and got under my skin a bit. And you know,
But what do you
I
think
have to
about
be
her
honest.
gameplay and how she'll do in the game? That's what I want to know.
Uh, I'm
it's
because
hard.
I've
He
based
only has the
yeah
videos, honestly, right now until he gets more teams.
yeah that's the thing. Until I see people go to tribals, I've only got a bit of what I can see in the tribe chat and the intro videos to go off. Off the intro video, I just felt like chances are probably wouldn't be necessarily first boot, because she might just be seen as like an irrelevance. But I didn't see her going far. I've got her down as 17th. Like I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope that it was just it's her sense of humor. It's a sense of humor that I don't necessarily get, and she does really well and surprises me. But like, yeah, it's the only video that like ticked me off a little bit, which, you know, to be fair, last season there were several that irritated me. So, you know, it's an improvement for old man shouting at cloud.
I would like to go next for Brady. Totally understand the intro video thing. I think the jury's still out on whether she intentionally, like, there's part of her that kind of was like, oh my God, I like everyone else's is so long and mine's is so short, but also like we tell them like give us a 1 to 2 minute video of you introducing yourself. So like I can't tell if it was intentional or not. And I was iffy about Brady too, not because of that, because the ass is great, but I was just iffy, you know, about like how she would be as a player. I'm a game bot, I love strategy. Brady is killing it. Brady is absolutely destroying it right now, surpassing all expectations. She is well loved by a majority of the tribe. She has shown already that she is very smart, strategically, with how she's gone about this round. She's incredibly active. So like I'm thoroughly impressed by Brady, and I think barring like her losing her shit and going crazy, I don't see her not making merge, to be honest. And people will underestimate her because all she does in public is show off her ass, but she's really, really smart.
Okay, I'll go next. So along the lines of what Megan said, I did not know Brady coming into us interviewing Brady. I was there for the interview, and then obviously what we've seen now. And I absolutely love Brady from the moment Brady's interview started for multiple reasons.
She had the best interview, by the way, of everyone.
Best interview.
She truly had the best interview.
Hands down, best interview of everybody, of even all the people that I knew coming in who I absolutely love and adore. Brady had the best interview. And I felt like she would have a very good strategic gameplay. And that starts with this video because everybody's talking about Brady's backside and forgetting and not paying attention to the fact that Brady is being very strategic and social and doing so much already behind the scenes. And that video is a great cover for what she's doing with her mind. And I would like to point out that majority of this season, 95%, if I'm correct, but I could be wrong because I don't want to like out anybody, but roughly, we'll go with rough numbers here, 95% of this game is not into Brady because that is just their preference. And that is okay. And I don't freaking care. But if that was Kyle or James, as we've already established, or a couple of other people in this game who were up there with no shirt on, constantly showing themselves, then I think the comments would be different. I'm just saying there's a double standard and I'm going to call it out. But to be clear, Brady did that strategically. And Brady didn't know how everybody else was going to be presenting themselves in these videos because we didn't tell her. But I very much think it was funny. It's sarcastic. We asked people to like give us a video. You know, we want you to make a splash. Brady made a splash because everybody's talking about it, and that's the point. That's the game. But Brady's also making a splash because Brady is being social. Brady is being strategic. And after a while, nobody's going to give a crap if Brady is showing her butt. But they're going to care about who is going to work with them, who is going to be loyal to them, and who is going to help their tribe win. Because guess what? This tribe just lost. So they're going to care about who is going to help them not go back to tribal. And if Brady can help them do that, they're going to want to keep Brady. And you know who they're not trying to vote out right now? Brady, because of this video. That's not something they're talking about. So I don't really think it matters. But I do think in terms of longevity and this tribe, I do think this tribe is all over the place, by the way, T. We haven't really, I don't know if we got into that when you guys start talking about the tribe, but they're all over the place. I do think Brady has the potential to have longevity in the game. I think it will depend on, as I said, a few things in terms of if there is a swap, when there's merge, how things may or may not play out in terms of who's with who. If somebody's like tribe swapped, if there's a merge and there's a majority of one tribe versus another, like if this tribe is losing and only 4 people go to a 10-person team, you know, that may play into dynamics, although we've seen teams with lower numbers go against teams with higher numbers and still win. So, hey, but those things play into the dynamics, but I do think Brady has the potential to make it to merge easily, quickly, make an impact, and still go far, even if she's down numbers. And so I had Brady in the merge and going, not sure how far the numbers might impact it, but hopefully I think making strong connections, making strong alliances, and taking it to the end.
That part, you kind of echoed what I was already gonna say a little bit. Like I 100% thought that was strategy right away. I watched that shit and I was like, if I had that ass, you already know I'll be using that as strategy to like promote that so that no one sees like what you're actually doing because you don't want to present that like you don't want to show, hey, I'm really smart, I'm really calculated in your intro video. Like, yeah, you want to have your personality show, but you also don't want to show that because that can people can look at you early on in the game. I think she could be someone that shows up to FTC and she's like blowing that shit out of the water and she's like making everyone shook. Like, oh my gosh, I did not think you were gonna be like that. And like she'll have like this crazy speech. But like I've seen her around the community. I think she will. I think she'll do really good. I was excited to see her when I saw the cast reveal. So you already know I'm rooting for her. And yeah, and it doesn't hurt that she's also hot. But yeah, that's besides the point.
I'd just I'd just like to come back in quickly because I genuinely would like to be proven wrong. Like Abby last season was the video that irritated me, and by the end, I really liked Abby. So just on like Keisha, I think you were being general, but just to sort of clarify from my point of view, like you know, I go both ways anyway, personally, but like I'm not commenting on any of the men's looks in this. It would irritate me just as much if, you know, a bloke had a video that was just, you know, them with their abs out, sort of spraying themselves with a hose or whatever. Like just it was that sort of format that irritated me. It sort of on a personal level, it's definitely not a double standard. I think you were saying that more generally you think it is, but I, you know, from my point of view, I certainly want to make it clear that anyone doing that, unless they turned around and then back it up afterwards with a comment of, you know, I'm I'm here to flirt, I'm here to sort of use my assets, and are actually vocalizing that. Anyone sort of just making it about what they look like will irritate me. If it turns out to be strategy, great, fair enough. Like, you know, and if that's something that helps her get all the way, uh, it would still kind of irritate me, but I'd respect it if it was that well thought through. But yeah, I can only go off what I see, and I just sort of it was a survivorish turn off for me. But you know, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that it has nothing from my perspective to do with Brady being a woman.
I also think the age just helps a lot too. Like I feel like that will also pretty much help. And I saw that they got it was a different game where she was basically doing the same thing and the comments were, I was just like, this is stupid. Like, that's just who people are. Like, she's gonna be herself 100%. So that's all you can really ask for. So if people
For
don't
sure.
like that, then that's just how it is. But I think she's gonna be very smart, like you guys said. So I'm glad that people like her.
My last comment on Brady, this is compliments to all the people I name in this comment, but Abby walked so Brady could run. I mean,
Period.
that's how I feel, truly. Brady will be the Parvati. Abby almost got there. She was very close. But I think Brady will do it. If she finds anyone to flirt with, I don't know. Alrighty, Brady got a long time. Woo-wee. Next up we have Dave. I know Dave. I don't know if anyone else knows Dave, so you guys can go first because I don't want to taint your opinion.
I'll just say I really like Dave's interview too, and I really like Dave so far in the game in terms of the conversations I'm watching Dave have. I don't unfortunately know how far Dave will go, partly because again, Dave is on this tribe, and I feel like this tribe is going to be going to have to vote a lot. But Dave so far is making some good social connections. I fear whether or not Dave is going to be um having a lot of agency with those social connections, and that's where my concern is. I don't know. I'm hoping to see that happen. Maybe he's like under the radar because he is having good conversations. So I'm hoping he's the type of person who's like sliding in with like out without people seeing what he's doing and like getting in his way. Um, and that's what happens because I know that can happen, and I'm not seeing all the chats. I'm hoping that's what happens going forward. But definitely making the connections, which I think is really good, and he's also hot. But I just hope that he can make an impact. And yeah, I'm not sure how long he is for the game, if he's gonna have agency or not. That's my concern. Agency question mark on Dave for me.
My first note on to Dave was that he simultaneously sounds French and like the most typically Canadian person I've ever heard. I was like listening his whole intro video wanting him to say like a boat or something like that.
He's French
Uh,
Canadian.
I know,
How else would he
but
sound besides both French and Canadian?
well, no, but that's the thing. It's like usually the French Canadians to me just sound French, if that makes sense. But like he manages to sound French and like the opposite coast Canadian, and so, but yeah, I really liked Dave. I think it's interesting that he put into the ether that he was blindsided in his last game and that was a good idea for the players then. I'm kind of like, do you want to say that? But equally, I think if you're going to sort of try and point out to an audience that you think you're going to be a threat, it's one of the more subtle ways you could do it, I suppose. That said, I just really liked him. Seemed to have a good idea of being social. Struck me as somebody who would probably be quite strategic. I don't know what he's going to be like in comps, but if he's got a body and mind for comps, then he could potentially be a triple threat. I've got him going all the way to final tribal council. I have him in second place. I really like Dave, and I think he could do very well.
So I do just want to interject there with what Z said. And then if people want to give like their actual thoughts about him before I go, or I could just keep going. But Z, I think it's funny you mentioned what Dave said in his intro video. Because that is relevant to this game, actually. And this, like, I recruited Dave as well, and I recruited both Dave and Andrew. I know that they're from the same area of the community, but I did not know that they played together. So Andrew is the person who blindsided Dave, the blindside that he mentions in his intro video. So I think Brandon mentioned something about it vaguely when talking about Andrew. So that might be interesting if they end up on a tribe together. I just thought they knew of each other. So oops, might be, but it could be entertaining, and dramatic. But
Interesting.
my thoughts on Dave, because I recruited him, I know him, I've played with him, and he would have won that game. I think he got fifth, I think he got fifth, or fourth. Oh God. And I've seen him in another game in which he got second, and I think it was like a tie for the win, and he lost the tiebreaker. So Z, you putting him in second is not a bad judgment call. Dave is a person who is so good socially, but he perfectly plays the middle. Like somehow, I don't know if it's intentional, but he always positions himself in the middle. So he's not a huge target, but he's not someone people want out. And I think that if you can do that, you are in a good spot to win this game. And so I would pick Dave as one of my potential winners. I think I've said like 3 people so far that I think that could win. And Dave is one of them for me because he's just so good at positioning, which is super important. But I love Dave, and I hope he and Andrew duke it out. Like when the cast was being revealed and Andrew saw Dave come out, or yeah, Andrew saw Dave come out, he was like, "Is this a rival season?" Like Andrew literally thought that maybe there was a theme of it being a rival season. So yeah.
I was gonna say, I wonder how he reacted to Dave's Meet Me video. That's funny.
He was like, "Oh, that was me. He's talking about me."
That'd be funny though if they can talk it out, because then they could potentially be a duo. Like, they started off in the past and then they come together in this game. That could be something. I didn't really get crazy much vibes from him, but I think he seems very charming and someone that people might gravitate towards to work with. But yeah, I'm interested to see what he does. I don't know him.
Keisha, did you already talk about Dave? I think you did, right? You did. You loved his interview. Alrighty. So then
Yes, and he's hot.
yes. Fuck off. I'm not hitting the weekend again. I already hit my Dave one. Okay, it's fine. Next we're gonna go to Jazz. I'll start with them. God, who was it that recruit? Was it Jordan? I think Jordan recruited a lot of the women. I think Jazz is another Jordan recruit. Correct me if I'm wrong. And like we were all very excited by her interview. For me, I didn't get the vibes from the interview that she knows exactly how to play for the win just yet. But like still could play well. But I'm concerned for Jazz. There was a non-zero chance that they would be seriously considered for the vote, and as of right now, they were only slightly considered for the vote. I don't know if anything would change in the next 2.5 hours, but like at first, it could have gone that way instead of just a little bit of name thrown out. So Jazz didn't really help in the challenge, and I think it was like intentional. Like she would come in her prod chat and be like, I don't wanna do this. But then I think she also worked. So I don't know how long Jazz is gonna last, just based on activity level. But she's another one of those where like if she picks it up, I think her personality will take her farther. But I just don't know if I can see them winning as of right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw Jazz play a game called Gamers Paradise. This was like months ago. Pretty sure she almost won that game. I don't know if she won or not. I think she almost won. But like she was very social, but it was also like the fact that the times that she would work as well, like kind of had a conflict with the schedule. So hopefully, like you said, activity doesn't really play like a huge factor. But I know that she's very bubbly, charismatic, love jazz. I was actually on a pro team with her for a little bit. So I'm rooting for her always, and extra to see what happens. Hopefully she can pick it up and her name doesn't start flooding around again.
They they've given me possibly the biggest fear off of what I've seen so far, crossed with my intro video predictions, because Jazz for me had the best content within their intro video. I thought they seemed funny, seemed gentle, self-deprecating, but also had that, like, sometimes it's the eyes for me. You could just tell they had like that fire in their eyes. They were the only person to say, hey, yeah, I've won a game in the past. I've done well in some others. They were willing to say, I've been that threat. I put Jazz down as my winner pick. I am regretting that a bit based on what I've seen so far, because they do not seem to be very active. And so I kind of, from the intro video, I was like, they're going to work a lot, but they're also going to put a lot of energy in. They gave me that vibe. And that so far has not transpired. And so I have a feeling it's going to be an incredibly wrong pick, but yeah, they were my winner pick. Seemed to have just that mix of social agency, but also just sort of social friendliness. Because I think some people are really good at having meaningful conversations, but not good with the small talk. And other people are really good with the small talk, but can't get that into like a strategy chat. And I just got the vibe that Jazz would be able to do both. Probably would be a strategic powerhouse. And I also think probably would be good at certain comps. I don't think you have so many high positions without probably needing to pull out the odd win here and there in certain comps. I don't know what her strengths will be, but I would predict she has them. They have them. But yeah, as I say, I have a feeling it's going to turn out to be horribly wrong, but they were my winner pick based off the intro videos.
That's awesome. I really like Jazz. I like their interview, and I do think they're a little unserious. Like, I love that about them because, like, I just like people who don't take themselves too seriously. Like, it's just, it's a breath of fresh air. Jazz and I to me on this cast and on this tribe together just really, I think, could click because they just both, I think, are unserious. Um, and as Megan said, like Jazz during the whole challenge was in their pride chat just saying random things where it's like, Jazz, are you sitting in a picture? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you playing? Like, what's going on? Jazz was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go take a nap, and like straight up knocked out for like 3 hours. Like, just so unserious during the middle of the whole like scavenger hunt. Of course, like their tribe doesn't know that happened, but we do as prod. It was just hilarious. And then like we asked questions and I was like, please don't bother Jazz. Jazz is taking a nap. And so like for me, that was just hilarious. Like, I don't know, like that's entertaining and hilarious to me. And I love somebody who's updating me on Pride side about what they're doing, where their tribe is like, where is this person and what's going on? Like, I just love that. But Jazz is also like on calls and interacting with people a little bit. Like some people are like, oh, I haven't talked to Jazz. And other people are like, yeah, I've talked to Jazz. Um, and Jazz, I think Z, you said it, like Jazz is like has some social agency and some social sweetness. Jazz is like not afraid to push a name, but that can get Jazz in trouble. Like Jazz was pushing a name this round, but it was a name that the person she was pushing it to did not want to hear, right? So I think that's where we're gonna have to see like how this plays out with Jazz and and their social agency in terms of like when they push a name, are they gonna like have people behind them to support it? Because if they push for the wrong person, what happens when their name gets pushed back? And so where's Jazz's support and how's that gonna flow? But definitely I would love to see Jazz IC hook up and in the game that is and connect and really form a group with some other people who maybe don't have as many other strong ties and just completely push this agency of this tribe in a different direction than where I think I see it going already.
Whew, okay. Oh God, that was so funny. It was like Z's just going on and on about how much he loved Jazz's intro video and how he thinks Jazz is
It's
gonna win.
awesome.
And then Keisha basically goes, "Oh." It was so fucking funny. All right, so we already did Mini Brandon, Kyle G. So next we will go to Melissa.
So one of the first things Melissa said was, "I'm a textbook cancer," which is what I'm hoping my internal organs never say. Um, uh, she said one of the few things she actually said in her intro video was, "I'm kind of boring." Now, I know I don't necessarily know like loads about Triumph Prod, but I know enough to know that they're not casting any boring people. Uh so to me, I'm kind of like, this this might be like one of those kind of crazy eccentric women who thinks they're boring, but everybody else sort of finds them to be a character. I'm definitely expecting something more than the intro video gave me, just because I know there's got to be a reason that she was cast, even if she doesn't necessarily see it herself. I don't know what to expect at all. So again, I've kind of gone for another middle-ish placement and gone 13th, just because I don't know. I feel like something's going to happen, but I don't know if she's going to turn out to be like some really angry player or some sort of like slightly chaotic, funny player. I don't know what the vibe's going to be. I'm just convinced that the "I'm kind of boring" is a lie.
Um, I understand that totally, Z, because like I know that when I interview for games, or like people are, beginning of the game asking me about myself, I also am like, I'm honestly kind of boring, because like in my life I don't do much because I love being around orgs, but I also
Mhm.
like, have a personality, and I think most people wouldn't call me boring. So I can totally see that. Um, however, um, I think Melissa so far in this game as a player has been a little boring. Can't say for her personality, but Melissa has been horrendously inactive. We're about to open the funny moments to the VL, actually, now that we're done adding people and crowd chat guests, so that you guys can see funny moments throughout the season for the first time. But one of my favorite in the funny moments so far is Melissa in DMs with Kyle G, saying, "I was up until 9 a.m. this morning, and when he asked why, she said, doing this challenge." And she posted a total of 4 pictures in the challenge, or at least at that time. So it just cracked me up, because like she said she was up all night during the challenge, but she wasn't doing the challenge. So I don't know. And like they can verify that. So like the point being, Melissa is not doing well. Um, and you know, I fear she may be first boot. I mean, I can say that for sure, because I know last season I said I fear Lewis may be first boot, and then we saw what the fuck happened. I literally did say that in cast assessment. I said Lewis is getting first boot, and then he idled, or Pally idled. So crazier things have happened. We've seen it recently, but yes, that's what I've got.
So she kind of like, I don't, it's kind of giving Ashley, but I feel like Ashley's kind of giving more, which is kind of crazy. To
Very
me, at
similar
least.
vibes so far in terms of acting.
But yeah,
Two different
so
personalities, yeah.
I don't know, she gives me someone who would just lie a lot. Like she would just try to be like a little slick, and like the fact that you're talking about how like she was talking about the challenge, I was like, bro, what? But she, I don't know, I feel like I feel like if she does stay in the game, I feel like she's gonna be super chaotic, which I'm obviously here for. I don't know, she gives me messy boots vibes, so she'll probably get caught up in something.
I know that also, like maybe a day or two before Triumph premiered, I'm pretty sure Melissa was revealed as a cast in another game. Which I mean, we do ask like in the interview process, like if people have other orgs planned or if they're gonna be busy. And she didn't say that. She just, kind of said like I can handle whatever it is in orgs. but I don't remember which org it was. So I think that may also be playing a factor into it. Maybe if it's that she can't handle 2 orgs starting like in the same week, because that is a lot. The start of an org is a lot, so it takes it out of you.
Yeah, I think I, my heart goes out to my fellow Gen Zers when we play. Woo, geez, I've been saying I'm 22 for the longest. I now think I'm a Gen Zer.
Oh
Wow,
my
it's set in,
God.
y'all.
She got the
Sorry.
TikTok dances memorized.
Right. It's like, child, now it's like I'm convinced myself. No, okay, my heart goes out to my fellow Gen Xers because in reality, I really am a Gen Xer. I just lie and say I'm 22. And so, I want us to win and kill it in all games. But I say that with a caveat. I am very concerned about Melissa's energy level. And that showed in the competition. Melissa did contribute, she was the night owl. She did contribute when they needed her most because they needed that nighttime thing. They could have not had some things get turned in and that would have like made them lose. So like she definitely contributed.
They did
But
lose.
I think they definitely the energy level though in terms of social connection is important. And I think for me, that's my concern in terms of longevity. If Melissa survives this tribal tonight, I'm not sure how much people will pick that up and will want to be like, Melissa's my girl, Melissa's my person, Melissa and I are going to go to the end together. I think they'll just be like, Melissa's here, but Melissa can be the next one if we need it. And that's the question, right? And so I think for Melissa to like make it past this tribal and to hopefully make it past another one, it would mean like picking up the energy level, focusing in on this game, not another game, but focusing in on this game and these people and make them realize that they're valuable and that she's valuable to them. And I think already, in addition to what Megan said, people in this game have already clocked that right now, as we speak, right before Tribal, they're worried about whether or not she's going to be at Tribal because they have noticed that she was announced to be in a mini or hosting a mini or doing something with the mini right now. And they're like, hey, Melissa, we want to talk to you because, like, your name is out there. And they're not able to get anything back from Melissa because Melissa's not responding. They're like, oh, because she's busy. And so that's a concern for them in terms of like her availability going forward. And I think in order for her to like survive this tribal and get past this and get past others, she's gonna have to respond to people and show that she's committed here and give the energy here.
And she's got about not not a hippie. Hippie made phase 2, okay? Hippie technically made like jury phase merge.
She beat my first placement.
She did. Okay. Next person we have is Michael. And Hui. I feel like Michael's a lot. Michael's been a lot. In a good way.
I just played a mini with him and he was a lot. Just from one night. So I mean I know him because of like Cutthroat, like I know him from that community. Never played a game with him, but he gives me the vibes that he's gonna be doing this a lot. And I don't know if people are gonna clock that or not. He kind of gives me that vibe. Like he is social, I feel like, but also I think he's very just a game bot energy that I get from him. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I feel like not like this necessarily, but I feel like it's giving the meme of that one guy from It's Always Sunny where he's like staring at the board with like a million different things. That's more of the vibe that Michael gives. Like I can give an example already. Like in his prod chat at one point, this isn't like really spoiling anything. He said something about another player saying that he might need to like watch out for this person or keep an eye out because they were recruited by Keisha. And which they weren't. But like just like those little tiny things, like I will read into everything and question everything. And maybe even paranoia down the road. So I don't know if that'll bode well for Michael to make merge. However, I will say that Michael is doing surprisingly better this first round than I thought he would be because of his personality. He's so excited for this and it's just going balls to the wall. but he's doing all right. And probably not going to be in trouble pre-swap, to be quite honest with you, and is patching things up with Ty, which, by the way, I didn't know about because I don't pay attention to the Cutthroat server. We can blame Ollie for that because he's the one who checks in there from time to time. But they've patched things up for the time being. So I mean, I think Michael's doing well so far. I just don't know if he'll make merge because he is a little cuckoo in a fun way.
I yeah, so psychology in terms of like mention degrees you can mention in your intro video, I think that might be the only one that's more dangerous than Kyle's poli-sci communication combination. Like, that said, I will say that I have a strongly formed opinion that people who study psychology are often studying it because they want to like understand their own crazy. Like there's a lot of people who I think sort of take up psychology because they basically sort of want to try and understand how they work. And he definitely like he he did give me some slightly crazy eyes in his intro video. They were sort of very intense. But the content, like, he seemed pretty chill. So the issue was that the Michael Ty thing was being built up a lot when I was making all these notes, and the vibe I got from the viewers' lounge was that sort of like more people were on Ty's side than were on Michael's side. So I was kind of like, well, if that's the case, he's probably going to be first to go on his tribe because like one of the two probably has to go. So I put him down in 19th, but I am pleased to hear that, you know, they're kind of working things out. Had I known they'd work things out at the time, I wouldn't have had him so low, but I was just convinced that the way everyone was going on about it, something would have to give. So
Any other comments on Michael? And then we have two more after that.
Yeah, sorry. It's me. I was on a different screen. Yeah, so Michael is one of my winner picks. I think Michael is being very smart and strategic. Michael is not telling everything that Michael knows. Michael is yesing a lot and confirming what people are saying, and they're thinking he's agreeing with them. But Michael is thinking through everything that they're doing and listening to everybody, and is talking to almost every single person on his tribe. Michael has talked to everybody, playing it smart, paying attention to who's talking to who, making charts, making lists, taking notes. Baby, Michael has his tribe's number all written up and down. Now, I do think I see areas and weaknesses that can trip up Michael with the quickness. So it's not locked. Like I said, I have 3 people. Michael is one of them. Kyle is one of them. But Michael for the correct tribe is the one who I see being smart about talking to the people who aren't allegedly talking to anybody else, but Michael's talking to them. So when they if they get an idol and they play it, they're not writing Michael's name down. So if they're like, that one name that's getting written down, it's not Michael's. Michael is making everybody feel comfortable with him. And as we just talked about, Michael's connecting with Ty, although neither trust the other fully, so they also are dangerous to each other, and that's another weakness. But right now, I think they're both okay with each other. They know they need each other. And I do think, as I mentioned when we talked about the other side, the danger for Michael, as I'm going to say for Ty, is Sky. But Sky isn't after Michael as much as Sky is after Ty. So again, Michael sitting pretty, sitting safe. Michael is in a great spot. Michael didn't draft him on my team, I don't think. I still forgot exactly everybody on my team. Michael is one of our winner picks from what I've seen. I did my draft before I started seeing all the calls and everything else. But baby, Michael is playing this game hard.
By the way, Keisha, you need to post the draft for all of us to see. It's close now.
Oh, yes, I was going to do it after Tribal. Did we want to see it before Tribal? I'm sorry. Like the
Oh.
teams that are right picked?
We can see it after Tribal with the first update.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah. Keisha said it though. Michael has been on a VC with about everyone on the tribe, I think. I mean, even the inactive people almost all of them he's gotten on a VC at some point. So he's on it. Very active. Alrighty. Well, honestly, speaking of Z being afraid of people who are psychology majors, I believe Nick City is studying to be a therapist. Is that correct, Keisha?
Oh yeah, Babe's is getting his master's in therapy. This is last year, I think. Yeah, so for
Yeah,
sure.
so I mean,
So he already has a psych degree. He's getting his master's now.
yeah. So Nick is in that same boat, is going to be a therapist. And at least for me, I can see that so far. I didn't know Nick City before this. Jeremy did. So like my opinion was skewed of what Jeremy thought of him as a player. But I can tell that Nick is very, very good at being a therapist, as in like bonding emotionally with people. Like even more so than on a surface social level, I think Nick is probably one of the people in the cast who can like make deep connections. Like imagine if you're just like trauma bonding or something with each other, like he will get people to trauma bond with him or like talk about shit like that. So I'm really impressed by it and I'm excited to see how that goes. I hope Nick can turn the therapist off when need be to be a little cutthroat. But again, when you're that good at getting really close with people, it happened to me in the last game I just played, they can be really upset when you vote them out. So I hope that when Nick makes merge, because I honestly feel comfortable to say that he will make merge, he needs to then at that point be careful about not completely like blindsiding people in the sense of I thought we were like so close, how would you do that to me? Or else the jury could be mad at him if he makes the end. I could see Nick getting second or third because of that, to be honest.
Okay, I have to talk about Nick. I'm sorry, Z, go ahead.
No, go on.
Okay. Megan, completely. Nick can make you connect with him so well. You'll love him. You absolutely won't want to put him up. You won't want to vote him out. You'll just be like, I can't. I want to. Like, I take it back. You'll want to put him up. You will want to put him up. You'll be like writing your list because you'll be like, everybody loves Nick. Nick has to be like, if I get a chance, Nick is on the list. I'm putting Nick's name out there. Then you'll go talk to someone and you'll name names and you won't name Nick because you'll just be like, A, they love him, so I'm not gonna push his nickname. And B, you're gonna be like, I don't want to be the one to say Nick's name. I'll let somebody else say Nick's name because I love Nick too much. I just can't do it. And nobody will ever say Nick's name because everybody feels the same way. And that's just the power of Nick and his beautiful hair. And that is why Nick is my other winner pick. I know I'm not allowed to have three, but I can have three, baby. Nick is just that good. And Nick can be cutthroat. Let me just tell you, Nick cut this one. Like, Nick cut me. So he can be cutthroat. He looked me dead in my face as one of the only few people in the game. Everybody else was lying to me. Nick looked me dead in my face and said, Keisha, I think you're lying, and I gotta cut you. I wasn't, but I was. But at the same time, if he would have made it to the end, I would have voted for him because he earned my respect for telling me to my face. So Nick is not like a snake because Nick is honest and will honestly tell you what he's doing, and even if he's hurting your feelings in the process. But because of that, unlike people we've talked about, some of the other people, you will build that bond with him, but he will still compassionately cut you, and you'll still be like, oh, but you were honest. Okay, I'll still give you my vote. Like literally puppy dog. Like, ugh, yes, Nick. That's all I say. Winner pick number 2. They all will be there, and it'll be hard for people to choose. Nick, Michael, they'll both be there, and possibly, I think, a Juan or a Kyle. Just saying.
So, for me, Nick, I think is the only player that I recognize. I think I was part of a prod team that hosted him about 4 years ago. I think it could be a different Nick, but I'm kind of like, so I was convinced enough that I felt comfortable making my first note next to his name that I've seen bolognese with less mince. But trying to like, I was also trying to work out whether City is like an actual name or if he's like a Gen City fan from Big Brother. Okay, I'm getting nods. Right. That's what I was like trying to pick up on. The vibe I got was that he would be quite messy, and he was, if it's who I'm thinking of, he was a little messy when I hosted him. What Keisha's saying, and sort of what Megan's saying as well, that might be very wrong. It almost sounds like he tries to avoid mess. So, you know, my reads are perfectly capable of being incredibly wrong. But yeah, I just got the vibe that there would be mess attached. But I think I see jury, but not like deep jury was the vibe I got, and I've put him down in ninth place, which I think, if it's the person I'm thinking of, is roughly where he came when I hosted him. So
Just to give you the name background, so it's not that he's such a huge fan of her. He was a long time ago when he first started playing orgs. He was in an org with another friend named Nick, and it was a big friend group. And it was the two Nicks, and they all like Big Brother. And he was notoriously bad at comps, and the other Nick was notoriously good at comps. So the other Nick got Jen, the one from Survivor who won comps. He got Jen City because she was notoriously bad at comps and only won that one veto. And so they called him Nick City as opposed to Jen City because he was notoriously bad at comps. And so that's why hence the name.
got it. Useful to know.
Okay, any more comments on Nick, and then we will get to our final player. Alrighty. So last up we have Ty. Quick from me, Ty is basically the Thomas of this season in terms of the most notable, recognizable, well-known player for a very long time. Similar to Thomas, Ty has been around for years and years. Ty has played it all. Ty has won many. I think Ty won Cutthroat, correct? He won like an early season of Cutthroat, or am I crazy?
Was it the
Ty
mini?
Howell. Yeah.
I think it was the mini that he won. The Cutthroat mini, maybe?
Jeremy said he won season 6. Jeremy was really active back then. I know it was an early season when I was around, but yeah. So Ty kind of, for me, had the same expectations going into this season as Thomas, and I know that's not saying a ton because he got idled out, but like Thomas was slaying. Ty, I'm actually like not seeing do as well this first round as I kind of expected from him. Maybe I just like thought since he's been around so long, he would just be like destroying everything immediately. Because I don't think I've seen him play myself. But Ty's kind of like in the middle on his tribe, honestly, which was unexpected for me. Like there's some people that really love Ty, and then there's some people that like don't really care for Ty, and think that like he's being too selective in who he responds to in DMs. And people have pointed out like he'll talk in the tribe chat but not respond to my DM. So he's kind of like in the middle in the tribe. Like I don't think he'll be targeted, but I just don't know like what it means for his longevity to be a strong ally with some of these people on this original tribe. The good thing though, I think, is that Ty is a person who can bond well with new people in a swap. So if he does that, fine. I don't think it matters the people on this tribe that don't like him as much. But yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had to pick right now, I would give Ty like Mayor Ponderosa.
And he would eat
I
that up.
uh well, obviously you know exactly when merge is hitting and like what the merge placement will be and stuff like that. But I think I kind of agree with you with where I'd maybe expect it to be, because I put Ty down for 12th. I think, yeah, he seems fun and friendly. Also seems to like have that ability to, be able to cut a bitch if they need to. I just, it struck me as the kind of player who, almost sort of similarly to my read on Kyle G, might make a few early connections, might get found out not immediately, but like sort of not a huge length into the game. I am convinced though, like I sort of feel like a 37-year-old who calls themselves funny, silly, and goofy. I got major Disney adult vibes. Like don't know if that's accurate or not, but like that was my immediate feeling from watching the video. But yeah, another one that I could see placing basically anywhere. Could have seen first boot if Michael was the stronger influence. Could see winning because seems to have the social skills. But I'm gonna settle for what I believe to be the Mayor of Ponderosa placement, and we'll find out if that's accurate.
So for me, I think this is my first time interacting with Ty when we did the interview. And I have been in Cutthroat server, so now simultaneously I'm interacting with him in Cutthroat server, but I was not familiar with Ty, and watching him in this game, I think I see how he could be a good player and I see the potential there, but I definitely think he's thinking too many steps ahead. Ty is already planning for the merge and or a swap without planning for this tribal, next tribal, day to day, connecting with people right now on his tribe. And while he's doing it with Michael, and I mentioned this already, Michael makes it sound like, oh, we're doing the same thing, we're on the same page. Michael is actually connecting with people individually, one on one right now, whereas Ty is just very much, Megan said it, leaving people on red. Like I was looking back at chat when some people said that, and I'm like, this is interesting. What? Because Ty's making it sound like they're doing the same thing. I went and looked, and I'm like, oh, okay. Ty is being like very selective about talking to the people I think he thinks he already can make connections with and who could serve his game in a swap or a merge. But then if he doesn't think they could serve his game, he's not really responding to as much or as well. And I think that's a mistake because he's walking down the street looking at the steps ahead that he's going to have to climb up, but misses the manhole in front of him that he's about to fall down into. And so, unfortunately, I think that's going to be Ty's mistake, and or he's going to swap or merge with Sky, and Sky's going to have some loyal people on her side, and he's going to get eaten up because Sky is after Ty. Let me just tell you, she said it already. He's in trouble.
Ooh, if Sky's after somebody, ooh, that's not good.
And I think she'll have people who's on her side in a way that's different than what he will have.
Haley, did you give comments on Ty? Did I miss that? Or did you have any?
No, I didn't. So Ty, like kind of what Keisha said, I kind of interacted a little bit and like seen him around, obviously Cutthroat. So that's where I originally saw him. Never seen him play, but I kind of like him. Like I'm digging it. Like I'm here for it. Like I am a stan. Like period. I hope he makes it far. Low key, like if he makes it farther than Mayor Ponderosa, like come on, like let's go. Like I'm just a stan. I love the vibes. And I'm glad that him and Michael are, not going at it with each other. So that's interesting to know. But I don't know. I hope he doesn't try to do too much because I know how that can feel, like wanting to plan far ahead and wanting to get right to the nitty gritty. But I hope he kind of slows it down a little bit and like takes a breather and then pop off at that point. But I think he's going to be a great player and hopefully he makes a deep run for sure.
Alrighty. Any final comments? Ty? Okay. Very, very briefly before we end the cast assessment, just for funsies, because I know we kind of talk about like ideas for placements and stuff. But before we hop off, can all of us just give like one name that we would choose right now as a winner pick? No explanation, just like if we had to choose one single person, yes, Keisha. Who would we go for right now? So Haley, do you want to start? Do you have one?
Sure. Well, obviously I'm not, well, I didn't get to talk about this person because you guys probably talked about him before, but I'm just gonna say it because I love this person and I think they're gonna do good. I'm here for it. Let's go, Juan. You're winning. Let's go, Juan. Period.
Yeah, this is Juan. Z.
Right now, Dave. But like, you know, as I said, I said Jazz when I did my list. They've been a bit quiet. So at this exact second, I'd go Dave.
Isha.
Yes, my pick would be Maya Kwan. Mm-hmm.
You said Juan?
Maya Kwan.
Oh, I can't. I can't. Keisha, one person. One person. One of your
That is it. That's my final tribal council, and it's gonna be a tie, and somebody's got to break the tie, not me. Michael, Nick, Juan. Okay, Michael. I think Michael will be the one that they break the tie
Oh,
over. I don't know. Michael's taking it
I didn't.
with the
Michael will
broken
win the
I
tie.
didn't know one. I didn't know one
Michael's
was
gonna
your
win the
pick, so period.
tiebreaker.
Okay. And then my person, I'm also picking Dave as of right now. If I had to pick of my options. So that's what we got. Let's see. We're all probably gonna be wrong or something because I love looking back
We
at these
picked Thomas.
assessments.
I
Who
was
else
right
picked Thomas last
season.
time?
I
Because
think
was right.
multiple people picked Thomas last time, and then he was first.
yeah.
So you know what the fuck.
Scott.
I
Scott last
I
season. Scott
I
last
put
season.
He did get
yeah,
it.
I put him down as second boot and got closest, but it was only because I really objected to the ASMR and couldn't watch his intro video because it made my skin shudder.
Alrighty, so thank you guys, and thank you to the people who were on earlier who had to hop off for doing the cast assessment. This was one of our longest ones, but that just must mean that we have a good cast. Oh, one more quick fact. This is the first season in Triumph history where we have not had to use a single alternate. Every person who got offered a position on the cast accepted and did not drop. So, woo, this cast is amazing, and it's gonna be a fun season. And we will see y'all later.